about starting with AI from the go.
Whenever we are talking about Gen AI, we are focusing more and more on data governance.
It safeguards the Gen AI's inherent risks like hallucinations, biases, and the risks. So, in my opinion, Gen AI is like a super powered assistant, but things can go quite wrong if.
Welcome to Visionary Voices, the podcast series by To The New, where we talk to technology leaders shaping how enterprises build and scale digital systems. Today, we are diving into a topic that's on every enterprise leader's mind. How do you build data platforms that are actually ready for Gen AI? I'm your host, Ramneek Kaur, and together we'll be exploring how strong data governance, responsible data democratization, and self-service analytics come together to enable smarter and automated decision-making at scale. And to help us unpack this, I'm joined by someone who's been building and scaling data platforms for over 18 years. Jitender Punia is a principal technical architect in data analytics at To The New. He's worked extensively on data analytics and AI program, built internal accelerators for faster go-to-market, and has helped grow large data team across multiple projects. His expertise spans data platform architecture, governance, Databricks, Snowflake, BI, and Gen AI. Jitender, welcome to Visionary Voices. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me here, Ramneek. Looking forward to the conversation.
Let's start with the bigger picture. Everyone is talking about Gen AI-ready data platform. So in practical terms, what makes the data platform actually ready for Gen AI?
In practice, a Gen AI-ready platform is less about having LLMs, but more about having trustworthy, well-governed, and easy-to-use data. As an architect, few things I would look for in such a platform would be data quality. The data should be of good quality, properly deduplicated, so that Gen AI is looking at the single source of truth. Another aspect I would look at in such a platform would be embedded governance. The controls, accessibility, any compliance should be part of the data pipelines and should not be stitched later on into the platforms. Another important aspect of such a platform would be rich metadata and definitions. There should be a catalog wherein proper domain definitions, proper data definitions are in place so that people and AI have a clear view of the data and their definitions. One more aspect would be multimodal support. Any such data platform which we want to be Gen AI ready should have support for structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. And last but not the least would be operational efficiency in the platform. Any such platform should have clearly defined performance SLAs. It should have proper monitoring and scalability aspects in place because Gen AI workloads can be very unpredictable and can go up and down very fast. In summary, any Gen AI ready platform relies heavily on a strong data foundation and can go wrong very quickly if the foundation is not strong.
Great, Jitender. That was really insightful. So now when we are talking about Gen AI, we see that data governance has become very dominant. Like whenever we are talking about Gen AI, we are focusing more and more on data governance. So why it has become very much important now rather than just nice to have?
Well, with the Gen AI coming into picture, the risk profile of these data platforms have become even more important. The data governance has gone from just being IT hygiene practice to business risk management. These for such platforms, the data governance is all the more critical now because of few aspects like the data quality and controls. If the quality of data which is being fed to Gen AI systems is bad, they are going to give the bad output only. So it is important to have clear definitions of the data and proper context awareness to Gen AI so that right output can be generated. Second, what would be it safeguards the Gen AI's inherent risks like hallucinations, biases, and the risks. Any bad data being fed to GenAI on top of these risks could complicate things further. Then with the introduction of GenAI, there are new sensitive workflows like, for example, prompts, contexts, logs, and the data being generated out of these GenAI models that could be of sensitive nature, which again would require a control. And then there could be regulatory pressures. For example, there are different GenAI frameworks which may ask you to prove where the data is coming from, who's owning it, and how it is being generated. And apart from this, another one would be trust and adoption of the data. So business users would be quite apprehensive about adopting the data in a platform if they do not know about where it is getting generated from, who owns it, who controls it, and whom to reach out to in case something goes wrong. So in my opinion, GenAI is like a super powered assistant, but things can go quite wrong if there are no controls in place.
That's great, Jitender. You have explained data governance brilliantly. But how does governance directly affect trust in AI-driven analytics and automated decision-making?
Well, governance is actually which turns impressive demos into decisions that get stakeholders buying. The trust in governance frameworks is essentially due to the factors like clear lineage. When you are able to trace back the model outputs or recommendations to data sets, to owners and everything, the trust is built. The stakeholders are able to easily trust the outcome because they know what the source is about. Then it's quality and controls. When the business stakeholders themselves are involved in providing the good quality data and they have the right controls in place, it makes sure that only fit for purpose data is fed to GenAI and it generates the right output. And another one would be accountability. Having the governance in place ensures that there's right accountability, clear ownership of data models, data domains, which is critical for high-stake decisions. Without governance, GenAI becomes like a black box wherein it becomes very hard to track things. At To The New, while building GenAI-ready platforms, we also focus on why along with what and try to display the source of tables, the quality metrics, the refresh rate, etc. in the governance platform. Having such transparent information for business users makes it easy for them to trust the data and start adopting the platform.
That's great. So apart from data governance, what we also hear is about data democratization. So in large enterprises, what data democratization actually mean, and most importantly, what it does not mean?
Well, in simple terms, data democratization for a user would mean having access to the right data and the data platform with proper controls without needing a central data team every time. In detail, it could mean for enterprises, essentially it would mean having self-service access to the data via BI tools or GenAI assistants, but having proper controls in place at the same time, meaning that they should be able to access only the relevant data and not everything. Another aspect of it would be clear documentation and definitions. So there should be proper documentation and all the definition around the data assets should be very clear so that even the non-expert users can make sense out of a particular data set. Last one, what would include data democratization would be proper guidelines and guardrails. So the platforms are made available to users, but many a times users are not aware how to use the platform. So there should be a clear defined framework which tells them how to use a particular platform, how to get the output from a data platform, and how to infer the output which is being generated. What data democratization doesn't mean is that everything is available to everyone. We make data available to people, but not at the cost of losing access controls. So we make sure that only the relevant data is made available to people. It also doesn't mean that there are no standards. Irrespective of data being made available, we make sure all the standards are in place, the proper data modeling is done, proper dashboard definitions, how to use everything is in place. It definitely doesn't mean bypassing data governance, because without data governance, everything will go haywire. So at To The New, we essentially believe in making the relevant and what matters, easily accessible to users without compromising on compliance and consistency.
That's great. Now let's move towards the challenging part. So, why is business context and domain led data so critical when the organizations try to democratize it?
Well, business context is really important for any GenAI-ready platform and data democratization. Because if you are feeding the data without a clear business context and domain-specific knowledge, you are making noise available to people, not really the insights. The raw data without any context doesn't really mean anything, and you would not be able to decipher what to do with this particular data. For example, why domain reference to data matters is to get answers to questions like what to do with this particular data rather than who owns this data. It's very important to know answers to questions like what does customer mean in this particular context? What does a churn customer mean? What does a product mean? These all are domain specific questions and not really technical questions. So having a clear and consistent definition of all these questions and related datasets is very important, because having different definitions feeds into your BI and AI systems, and they can build up on the confusion very fast. Having proper business context and domain also improves the quality of models and GenAI output. When domain owners actually choose and provide access to the right dataset, the models are trained on what really matters and not everything, which ensures that the output from GenAI is in line with what business thinks and not something very different. Ownership is also a key aspect here. When data domain owners themselves are responsible for defining the access policies, quality rules, and other things around data, then it becomes very easy for them to trust their data and start using it for day-to-day insights. This is how I would summarize it. GenAI without business context is a very fast way to get things wrong. GenAI with proper business context and clear definitions of the data is a good way to speed and accuracy, while without any context, GenAI would lead only to speed but not accuracy.
Data governance and data democratization is very well explained. So now when we move towards the bigger picture, how are the organizations moving from traditional dashboards to real decision intelligence?
Organizations are moving from dashboards to decision intelligence by shifting their perspective of simply by looking at the data to acting on the data. Dashboards have been a real good way of telling what happened in the past, but you still needed a human in the loop to infer that data and take any decisive actions. While with introduction of AI, GenAI, it's able to understand the data on its own, give recommendations, and even take actions when needed. GenAI can continuously scan data, raise alerts, and give targeted recommendations on what to do with that particular alert. So it can very well integrate and into existing departments with help of co-pilots or agents like finance, marketing, and other departments, and which sit within their existing systems, enable conversational talks with help of natural language based talk, and give recommendations, and in some cases even take actions if they are made part of the workflow. For example, sending a notification to customer. This also makes embedded analytics quite interactive. Earlier, people used to need to log in into a BI tool to understand the data and all, which is no longer the case with the introduction of GenAI. They are able to get the answers to their queries with help of natural language based conversation built in within these platforms itself, and can very well take actions also if need be. I like to define decision intelligence as context plus insights plus action powered by AI, which makes decision faster and accurate.
That was really insightful, Jitender. So now moving to the very last question, which is very important. So if you would like to give one piece of advice to the enterprises who are starting their data platform journey today, what would it be?
Having worked on data platforms for quite some time, I'd give few pieces of advice, which would be, first one obviously would be, make sure your foundation is strong, and don't just think about starting with AI from the go. It is very important to have a strong foundation with clear data quality, data governance, accessibility patterns and everything in place before even thinking about the AI. Another one would be to make sure that the data products that you are building are business domain driven and not just raw data products, because it really becomes difficult to make sense out of them later on. Few examples of business driven data products could be, what does customer 360 mean, so that you could design right from the start to deliver that particular data set. Few aspects which you should not do while building the platforms would be, start GenAI on messy data. So, because that's only going to lead bad results and bad decisions. Also, what you should not do is, you should not consider GenAI as just another tool. It's rather a system change which impacts your architecture, your businesses, and in some cases even the organization structure. Instead, focus on creating a culture of clear data ownerships and collaboration, which ensures clear collaboration between data, business, and IT teams. If you get trust and governance right, the automation and GenAI will automatically flow much smoother later on. To summarize, don't start with GenAI, rather start with making your data trustworthy for GenAI.
Jitender, you have brilliantly connected the dots between governance, democratization, and intelligent outcomes. It's clear that building for Gen AI is truly about building mature, trusted data culture. Thank you for the insightful session. It has been a fantastic conversation.
Thank you, Ramneek. I really enjoyed the conversation and sharing my insights.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Visionary Voices. Stay tuned for more conversations with leaders shaping the future of technology and engineering. Until next time.